Hi friends, so it's no secret that I love Warhammer, and as such, I like to read about Warhammer on the internet quite a bit. And well, just like anything on the internet, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Warhammer has long been plagued by lore misconceptions, either spread through memes or simple misunderstandings when reading the often verbose codices. So today I'd like to go through some of the worst misconceptions. And in addition to this, I'd like to spice things up by replacing them with my all new fun misconceptions so that I could spread more lies and deceit on the internet. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so misconception number one, orcs, they could just imagine anything into existence. Many people seem to believe that orcs, they could just think really, really hard and imagine anything that they want into existence. We all know the iconic I'm a tank incident, but, I'm sorry, Bricky, I really don't want to pull an actually on you, but actually, the orc psychic assault ability in lore is usually described more as a really powerful mob mindset that allows each orc to be a little bit smarter and unlock some innate abilities and know-how. So it's kind of like how girls go to the bathroom together to unlock their magic woman powers. It should, however, be noted that the color bonuses do still seem to work in lore, but obviously that's on a much smaller scale of reality warping than making a pipe, a box, and some bomb juice into a slugger or something. So my new proposed misconception is that orcs do in fact have the power to imagine anything into existence with their psychic results. However, they're just extremely unimaginative and boring. So much like a soulless corporate exec in Hollywood, they just see something that works, makes their own crappy copy, adds like 10% more explosion, and then they gaslight the general public into thinking it's actually good and not just a shitty version of something they loved as a kid. Now, misconception number two. The Death Corps of Krieg, they're suicidal morons. Now, this one, it personally pains me. Guard are my favorite 40k faction, and although the Death Corps aren't my favorite regiment, Cadia number one, it still hurts to see people portraying one of the galaxy's finest regiments as a bunch of dumb stupid heads. And I pretty much hate everything online regarding the Kriegers, from the shovels to the vaguely German themed Sabuku. I feel like the memes have kind of ruined the Death Corps for me. Contrary to popular belief, Kriegers do not just off themselves the second they find an opportunity. Their whole shtick is to atone for past sins by giving their lives. This does not mean that they're gonna die for no reason. That's just kind of ridiculous and a waste of the Emperor's time and resources. Now, the Kriegers aren't suicidal per se, rather, they're just really super willing to sacrifice their life if it means benefiting the Imperium and regaining some long lost honor. They aren't going to blindly charge into a tank or a wall of angry green fellows unless that's what they truly believe will help the Imperium the most. In fact, they're more likely to be more tactical and less wasteful so that they could squeeze as much value as they possibly can from their teensy weensy mortal lives. Also, this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, but to my knowledge, Krieger have never really used shovels in lore. At least no more than other regiments. I mean, sure, they dig holes to poop in, but that's about it. So instead of these stupid misconceptions, it's my new headcanon that the Kriegsmen are just, they're really clumsy because of their cool masks inhibiting their senses. They're often seen as fearless and nigh suicidal by other regiments, but in reality, they just simply can't see the horrors they face, and they blindly bumble around the battlefield until they just so happen to win. This aligns with the stupid Krieg or suicidal memes. It also aligns with the endless sacrifice and their supposed inhuman bravery. Alright, misconception number three. Slaanesh is the goddess sex. Not really. As much as we all like sex around here, Slaanesh is actually mostly described as the god of excess in lore. However, I can see how this misconception popped up since often sex and drugs are easy ways to visually convey that idea, and many people do end up doing these things in excess. Obviously, not us since we play Warhammer, but So, what I think happened is that a lot of people saw those wacky models, the ones. They felt a strange tingling in their pants, and then they thought, oh, that's weird. Oh, wait, I get it. Slaanesh is the god of sex. That's why I'm feeling silly in my willy. But that's just not correct. Slaanesh is the god of excess at the end of the day, and while this does often manifest from excess pain or pleasure in the 40k universe, it can really be an excess of anything. Things like obsessive perfectionism or extreme unhealthy dedication to a craft, me painting minis, any of those could power the Dark Prince. And this misconception, it unfortunately leads to a few other misconceptions, like the Eldar, they can never have sex or any sort of fun at all. Which, that's pretty wrong because in most depictions, they're kind of seen as normal people when not fighting. So just remember what the Bible says. You won't get your soul eaten by Slaanesh for banging your wife, but you will if you make banging your life. Profound words right there. So, to explain these silly-ass misconceptions, I propose a new silly-ass misconception. In the 40k universe, every single person is canonically so extremely hot that if you have sex even just one time, that's the only thing you could ever think about afterwards. Which, of course, would essentially make the 40k universe into the universe that those funky religious folk who walk around with signs and megaphones already think we live in. Alright, so for misconception number 4, let's move on to another misconception connected to the Eldar. A single space marine, they could take out a whole entire Craftworld, I tells you. Nope. To be fair, I do believe this one's mostly due to people not understanding what a Craftworld actually is. Many people seem to believe that Eldar Craftworlds, well, they're just big, fancy spaceships. And while that's technically true, people seem to underestimate the big part of that statement. Craftworlds, they're absolutely massive. The smallest ones are at least as big as a continent, and the largest ones are said to be near planet-sized. On the contrary, a lot of people seem to overestimate the size and power of the average Space Marine chapter. According to Gilliman's special little book, there are roughly 1,000 Space Marines in a standard chapter. And this is certainly a force to be reckoned with, but there's absolutely no way 1,000 Space Marines could take out the average craft world. Nearly every single elf on your craft world is at least a competent warrior, and while the average Eldar Guardian probably can't take out a Space Marine alone, an Aspect Warrior can, a Wraith Guard can, a Farseer can, and so on. If a single Space Marine chapter can't even definitively take over the United States of America, you could fight me on that, they have no shot against an Eldar craft world. Alright, so here's a new misconception to spread to your friends and family. Instead of a Space Marine chapter being able to defeat an entire craft world all by its lonesome, that's just ridiculous. Let's say a single guard regiment can do it, why not? And I don't mean a single regimental culture like the Cadians or the Catachan. I mean a single regiment, like a single unit of the army. Something like the Cadian 121st or Mordian 8th, for example. I think this would be really funny because Eldar players are already constantly being dunked on by every single other faction in lore. And it also makes the Guard, the best faction, look even cooler. And then if people disagree with you, you could just talk about how strong a Leman Russ battle tank is because, oh, I don't know, an orc mistook it for the Primarch one day, and then due to psychic chicanery, every single Leman Russ battle tank became the actual Leman Russ Primarch. So, finally, last misconception. Misconception number 5. Baneblades were light scout tanks in the dark age of technology. This has got to be one of the stupidest misconceptions in the 40k fandom. I don't care how insanely advanced Dark Age of technology was. Nobody is going to be using this behemoth as a scout tank. It's as loud as it is big and has a max speed of 15 miles per hour. The only way this thing could ever be considered a scout tank is in the sense that it makes every single enemy into a scout because they'll be spotting your forces from miles away. If anything, Dark Age of technology humans using a Baneblade as a reconnaissance vehicle just makes them look extremely stupid, not really powerful and advanced. So my new misconception is, well, we'll just double down for this one. The Baneblade, it wasn't a scout tank. It was actually the premier luxury sedan of its day. Need to get groceries? Baneblade. Need to take the kids to school? Baneblade. Want to go for a nice family road trip? Alright kids, squeeze into the family Baneblade. In fact, the variants of the Baneblade, like the Fellblade or the Doomhammer, well, those are just clever marketing ploys from the fellas in Detroit so that they could sell you the same vehicle with slight alterations. Large family? Stormlord your answer. Too much Baneblade traffic on your daily commute? Well, buy a Shadow Sword. Whatever you need, the Baneblade chassis has got you covered. And with that, that's all I got for today. I hope you learned a lot and, well, you can stop posting these tired old memes all over the place. Instead, maybe you could spread these misconceptions and they could become their own tired old memes one day. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and spread my videos to your closest friends and family if you would. Thanks.